Who are the players that could come through with huge point totals to help lead you to a fantasy championship here in week 17? We're about to give you our boom picks. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're here to talk booms. That's right, those players that could go off and help bring home the title as it is week 17. All right, Chris, who are you feeling good about?
Well, I have to admit it, I'm feeling good about James Conner, and you may have not noticed because there's not a lot of teams, who made it to the playoffs with James Conner because he did really nothing all season long. But down the stretch here, he has been one of the best running backs in all of fantasy. He's topped 18 fantasy points in 4 straight games. And really ever since, Darrell Williams got hurt and Eno Benjamin got cut, he's seen 90% or more of the snaps in every game. No other running back, not Saquon, not McCaffrey, not even Derrick Henry, sees 90% of their team snaps. He's basically the only running back they use. He always has a chance to score touchdowns. And best of all, if you're in a PPR format, which most of us are, he gets a bunch of dump-offs, whether it's Trace McSorley this week or Colt McCoy. It doesn't matter. He usually gets 5 or more targets, which is just, awesome for your PPR leagues. He's been on fire, and now he gets Atlanta in week 17. He's had a string of really tough matchups here, and I know you and I both have kind of said it's New England, I'm not sure. It's Tampa Bay, I'm not sure. Well, you know what? It's Atlanta now. We don't have to worry about the matchup anymore. He's going to get 15 plus carries, 5 or more catches, always has a chance to score. If somehow you're still alive with James Conner, roll him out with confidence this week. I think he continues his momentum and has another big game.
Yeah, look, volume is still king when it comes to running backs, and so Conner is definitely a guy you should feel good about. And you know what? I feel good about the running back on the other side of that same matchup, and that's a rookie, Tyler Allgeier. Now, I've been talking about him on the waiver wire videos for the last couple of weeks, and I've been saying you need to grab him, you need to save him for this week, and this is why. Look, it is week 17. I know it's kind of hard to trust a rookie, especially a guy who's been pretty much in a timeshare/committee all season long. But things have changed. Since their bye, which was just 2 weeks ago, it has been Allgeier as the clear lead back. Caleb Huntley is on IR. He's not even part of the equation. And Cordero Patterson, the veteran, has been kind of phased out, which is what I expected. They're going to Desmond Ridder, the youth movement here. They're targeting Drake London a lot more. You see a pattern here? It's all about the rookies in Atlanta. So Tyler Allgeier over the last 2 games, again, since the bye and those adjustments have been made, he's averaged 20 touches per game. That's really good volume for a running back, and he's been really good all season as far as efficiency goes. He's averaging 4.9 yards per carry, and he's found the end zone a few times. Atlanta has a good offensive line, and so Allgeier is able to be effective. Well, this week, he gets a matchup, of course, against the Cardinals, who seem to be doing worse as far as defense goes, especially against the run. And in fact, over the last few weeks, they are a bottom 5 run defense. And you know that this team has nothing to play for. They're down to either their second or third string quarterback. Arizona is a good matchup for the Falcons, who are going to be at home. Allgeier getting touches, making the most of them. I feel like he's going to have another huge week. And even last week, where I didn't love the matchup on the road against Baltimore, he still went over 100 total yards. So I feel it's almost a given. He can go over 100 yards, a good chance to score. I love Tyler Allgeier this week. All right, let's go with another boom pick. Who you like in week 17?
Well, you like a rookie running back. I like a rookie running back. And it's Brian Robinson of the Commanders, who, again, kind of like James Conner, has really been coming on of late. Not necessarily for fantasy, but in real life. He's looked much better, down the stretch here. Whether it's getting used to the speed of the game, getting over the gunshot to the leg, or both. Whatever it is, he's looked much better. And also, Ron Rivera has had much more confidence in Brian Robinson. He's seen 18 or more carries in 3 of the last 4 games, and he's seen 20 or more carries in 2 of those games. Antonio Gibson barely involved anymore, and now he gets the Cleveland Browns, who in back-to-back weeks just gave up a big game to J.K. Dobbins and a big game to Alvin Kamara. And frankly, Brian Robinson might be better than both of those guys right now, to be honest. he's going to get more opportunity. He's looked explosive. Even last week, he didn't do a lot for fantasy, but he had some nice runs against a really tough 49ers defense. This is a much, much better matchup for him. I think he goes over 20 carries again in this game. It shouldn't be a game where they're, having to throw the ball much at all. They should have no problem leaning on this running game, leaning on that defense. Always has a chance to score a touchdown. I love Brian Robinson in Week 17 in a smash matchup.
Yeah, you got to like the way he's performed in the second half. And when the matchup is good, he is definitely a solid start. Wouldn't be surprised if he also goes over 100 yards. All right, now let's pivot here. Now, I hope you don't need a quarterback off the waiver wire or to stream, or you're just not still stuck making that decision. But look, a lot of us are still there. Or maybe you don't have Jalen Hurts again or Tua. There's a lot of times where quarterbacks are still very much in flux even this point of the season. If you're looking for a quarterback, I'm going with Jared Goff. Look, here's the thing. Jared Goff seemed unplayable last week because it was a road game. He had thrown 3 touchdowns on the road all season long. So what did he do? He lit it up. He scored 3 touchdowns and 355 yards in one game against Carolina. Now he gets to go back home, and you know how he does at home, and he gets to face Chicago. I mean, it almost is too good to be true. You feel like on paper he's ready in a smash spot. He's broken through as far as his performance goes on the road, and now he's back in Detroit, the cozy dome, no weather issues to worry about, against a bad team, a bad defense. Detroit still fighting to make the playoffs, and what they're doing, and which is what makes me feel so confident in Goff, is they're going through the passing game. No more of this giving it to Jamal Williams 25 times, dumping it off to Swift a few times. They're going through Goff, all right? And he's delivered. And so this is definitely, even though you think, well, maybe they don't have to pass it a ton against Chicago, I think they're still going to anyways because they feel like that's their best path to success. This is a great spot for him. I feel like this could be another huge week for Goff. So unless you have one of those really, really high-end top 5, 6 quarterback types, I think Goff is a guy you want to try to put in your lineup. All right, let's go with another boom. Who else you like?
Guess who's back? Mike White is back. And no, I'm not going to say Mike White is going to boom because he's not going to boom. But Garrett Wilson will boom because he no longer has Zach Wilson or Chris Streveler. But he's away from Zach Wilson. And we've seen it this year. In games without Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson booms. In games with Zach Wilson, he does nothing. So the fact that Mike White is back, and yes, he's already been cleared to play, and Zach Wilson, I think they said he won't even be active for this game this week. You gotta love Garrett Wilson again. And no, it's not the best matchup. It's on the road. It's against Seattle, but I don't care because he doesn't have Zach Wilson, and that's all I care about. Because what was the stat? Something like 20.3 PPR points in games without Zach Wilson, and then like 8.5 PPR points with Zach Wilson. Like, it's a huge difference with and without Zach Wilson. So yeah, Mike White, whatever. Start him if you want. I don't care. But it's about Garrett Wilson, not Mike White. He's ready to boom this week. Finally has his quarterback back. Put him back in your lineup if you've got him.
All right, yeah. I think Garrett Wilson owners are all very relieved to see any non-Zach Wilson quarterback behind center. All right, so what if you're hurting at tight end? Look, I know there's a lot of risk out there. I'll go with a guy who really hasn't done much the last couple of weeks. I think this might be the week he breaks through. That same game, Detroit and Chicago. I feel like it might be kind of a slugfest, a high-scoring game between two bad teams. I'm going to go with Cole Kmet at tight end. So you know tight ends come through usually when there's not a lot else out there to throw to, right? There's no receivers, and Chicago's in that situation. Look, Kmet's been in that situation for the last 2 weeks, and I know the yardage hasn't been there, 25, 27, but he is getting targeted a fair amount, and that's the first thing you want to see. Is he getting targets? Yes, Kmet is getting targets. Does he have a good matchup this week against a defense that gives up a lot of points? Yes, he does. Detroit, one of those teams that scoring a lot, giving up a lot to opponents. So, look, the last 2 weeks have been pretty tough. If you look at it, the schedule for Chicago, they had to face Philadelphia and Buffalo. Okay, maybe that's why Kmet hasn't been going off. Now against Detroit, I think this is a spot where he does come through. The target share is there. Good chance to score. If you're looking for a tight end, I'm going to put my faith in him. I think Cole Kmet is your guy. Are those the players we feel might go off and help you get that win in Week 17? Who else we like? Well, check out our playlist here with start sit advice for every position to help you win.